Good evening and welcome to our wrestling show. It was a hell of a weekend, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
We started out with SmackDown, and that's getting really annoying. We counted what, three matches in 2 hours? And the rest of it was, an hour and a half of them running off at the mouth at each other.
Well, it started off with Triple H coming out and then bringing Cody out and then Rock came out and that took 45 minutes in itself.
What the hell? There we go. I was trying to find the stream so I could share it. And that's. I hope it changes. I hope that was just because it was WrestleMania weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
But then we went and you and I went over to Peacock and watched
the Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame. Now, I was quite impressed by Paul Heyman, his speech.
Yeah.
You got to see a different side of Paul Heyman that we don't normally see, which was, I think, really cool.
You also got to know the whole history of how he got started.
Yeah, breaking into a stadium and, that whole thing was kind of cool. I think he said 15 or 16.
Yep.
Maybe he was 17.
Actually, I think he was 15.
Then you had the other one that was real notable that I liked was Thunderbolt Patterson. He got wheeled down to the stage and helped up there and so on and so forth. But when that guy got going, it sounded like you were in a Baptist church listening to a preacher.
Yeah. Well, he comes from that he's that old to where he comes from that generation.
But that guy talked about, like, just to put it in short, I mean, his message wasn't as much about wrestling and the history as it was about, this country becoming united. We have to, stop the hate and all of that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I do think the way they kind of honored Bray Wyatt during the night when the U.S. Express was inducted, his father and uncle.
Yeah.
That also hinted at what we kind of learned because you and I together, we watched that documentary on Bray Wyatt. And it almost sounds like his story is not over. His brother and a few other people might be continuing the Wyatt family story. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
And the Fireflies came back.
Oh, man. Those Fireflies lit up WrestleMania all 3 days.
And it wasn't just them. I mean, his dad started it off on the stage.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was really cool. That shows that the universe, the WWE universe, wants more.
Yeah.
Then we get in the matches. Night one. I can't remember all of night one.
We have Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch.
Yeah, and that was a bit disappointing. I mean, I was kind of hoping, it's one of those matches that I said that Becky Lynch was, I was wrong that Becky Lynch was going to win, but there was underlying circumstances there that we found out at the last minute.
Yeah, and she was hungry enough. It's just that she was sick. I mean, she had 102 fever and strep throat.
Right. So that's another point I wanted to make. You know, when these people, these wrestlers or entertainers and stuff, they're they're putting their body. I mean, they used to say cards subject to change. Used to be a little thing on every, you know, when they're advertised, when they're advertising like Monday Night Raw next week or SmackDown or the WrestleMania, they used to have the little thing disclaimer saying cards subject to change. Well, it was what they say it was. It was pretty cold there. I think they said it was like in the 50s because they
It
were
was
in
in the high 50s with the winds.
and the winds on Friday were like 15 miles an hour, and and they
And
were in a
Saturday.
stadium, outdoor stadium,
Yep.
So it didn't have a roof on it. So that, considering her health, that had to be pretty rough on her.
Yeah.
And and that's kind of like the Undertaker losing his streak to Brock because he wasn't quite over the pneumonia yet and still was having difficulty breathing, but yet, the show must go on, and his streak must be defended. Well, you know, I think they need to do something like that so that they can protect the wrestlers when they're sick and under the weather and stuff like that. I think they feel that they have to be there no matter what, or else, that might have been in the Vince McMahon days. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
You
with
know,
it being the first WrestleMania in the Paul Levesque era, they had to make it spectacular. And yeah, that match wasn't all it should have been. I mean, it should
it
have been
could have
more.
been much more. I mean, whether it was scripted for Becky to win or lose, it still should have been one of those matches where the audience got going saying, "This is awesome. This is awesome." We didn't hear that.
No.
Then you
Okay,
had
so
the other
let's
one.
move on to the next.
The other disappointing one was brother versus brother. What the hell was that? I mean, super kick versus super kick versus super kick versus super kick versus super kick. Are we bored yet? I mean, think about it. Those guys have been around them together fighting since they were kids, or wrestling ever since they were kids. Whether it be in their own backyard, they could have come up with a more spectacular match than saying who's got the better super kick and who's going to knock who off their feet first, and really,
or who it wasn't even who's going to submit first. I mean, at one point it looked like Jimmy was going to yield to Jay, and he ended up getting up and
yeah, that match to me was
attacking him
a
again.
big joke.
I mean, the right brother won.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it still was the match itself was kind of a joke.
That's another match that could have been better.
That's kind of like, that whole night one was kind of disappointing. Wasn't the ladder match night one as well?
Then yes, you have the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship 6-pack tag team ladder match, which included the Awesome Truth, A-Town Down Under, the Judgment Day, DIY, the New Day, New Catch Republic.
Yeah, that they won those belts when they did what Jeremy and I were discussing. Actually, it was Jeremy's idea. Taking the belts, splitting them apart, and putting them both on different hooks above the ring.
But then what should have happened is whoever won the tag team titles should have been out of the match. They should have
That's
not
yep.
been staying
That's
in
where I
and
was
trying
going
to
with
get the
that.
other tag team titles.
So your Austin Theory and that little inbred,
Grayson Waller.
yeah, those two, they won it so quickly they should have got kicked. They're going to lose them just as quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second team that won the other belts was Awesome Truth.
They deserved that title.
Yes, they did.
I mean, it was our Truth managed to bring a lot of comedy to that match to make it interesting. But we did see after the first belt was won and it started getting real interesting, you saw a lot more action. But still, it didn't make the night because that whole night was kind of a disappointment. We knew the six pack, this six woman tag match. I mean, knowing that Jade Cardell just signed with WWE and SmackDown and all of that, I think she signed with SmackDown. You know, you really think she was going to sign a contract and lose on the biggest stage?
No.
That wasn't going to happen. So you knew that whole team was going to win.
Yeah, Bianca and Naomi and Jade.
Yeah, because there's no way she was going to sign a contract and then lose at WrestleMania. That wasn't going to happen. I mean, if that was the case, she would have just stayed put in AEW.
Yeah. Then you have Rey Mysterio and Andrade versus Santos Escobar and Dirty Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, that's still a mystery. Who attacked Dragon? What was it? Dragon Lee outside the ring before the match.
That was on Friday Night SmackDown. That happened.
But it still makes you wonder who did it.
Yeah.
And then Andre, whatever his name is, he was supposed to be with Dom and all of them, and then all of a sudden he turns on them on Friday and says, "Okay, Ray, I'll help you out. I'll be your partner." And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, can you really trust him?
Well, he trusted enough to where they won it.
Yeah. You know.
And it almost got to the point to where we saw Dominic get his ass spanked by his dad.
Again, that would have been funny as hell. I was waiting for that until they grabbed the belt from him, and it's like, he takes off that little strap, and he was gonna spank Dominic, and Dominic got lucky that he got saved.
Yep.
His ass got saved from being beat again.
Now, the one match that I think did kind of make the night was the Intercontinental Championship match between Sami Zayn and Gunther.
Yeah, that was probably the only thing that saved the night, because that was a hell of a match. I was so rooting for Sami Zayn for that. He worked so hard to get there, and he took Gunther to the limit, and I'm glad that match stayed fair. But Gunther's been kind of like, even though he's been head of Imperium, when he got that belt at first, they were coming out to help him. But after a while, he's like, I'm going to prove to you people I can do this without them, and telling them, okay, you can come out with me, but you stay, in the back.
Yeah.
You don't go farther than that front stage before the ramp.
Yep.
And they did just that. And that worked well. So Sami Zayn had only one thing to focus on, and that was Gunther.
Then the last match of the night was the match to determine the Bloodline band or Bloodline rules between Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins.
Yeah, that whole thing was bullshit. You know, The Rock sitting there, and he reminded me in that moment of Vince McMahon. Okay, abusing his power. Okay, telling the ref, if you count, I'm gonna fire you.
Yeah, that was bullshit because basically the ref couldn't do anything.
Yeah, so he
Because
kind of
he
tied
was,
the ref's hands.
yep.
But see, Cody was smart. Seth had his back. When all hell broke loose, yeah, they almost won, but you knew that wasn't going to happen. You knew
Yeah.
Sunday was going to end up bloodline rules.
Yep. One way or the other.
And it did. But the whole thing about that is, yeah, I know Rock was trying to play and portray his bad guy image, but Jesus Christ, dude, you were acted way too much like Vince McMahon, and count or you're fired, or do this or you're fired. I mean, what's next? Have wrestlers come to the ring and kiss your ass, literally?
Basically, for that, it's abuse. It's his abuse of power.
Yeah. Once he took over that TKO management position, he started abusing the power in that aspect. I mean, I don't know if it was scripted or not, but that ref sure did look scared for his job.
Yeah.
He looked worried. He didn't know what to do. And it's sad that somebody has to be put in a position like that.
And he kept saying, I'm sorry to Cody.
And I still think that in a match like that high caliber and that high stakes of a match, they should have brought in a guest referee that couldn't be pushed around by The Rock. They've done it before the past WrestleManias. Why not? I mean, there were plenty of people. I mean, hell, you still got people on that payroll, that are retired legends.
Yeah. I mean, didn't they have a guest referee for for one of the matches on Sunday? Bubba?
Yeah. Bubba Ray Dudley. But, still, they could have gotten somebody like Stone Cold or Undertaker or something like that to guest referee that match. And do you think either one of them would have cared what The Rock would have said?
No.
They
would have said, go ahead, try it. I'm not really on the payroll.
Right. But that's just it. They needed to get somebody that, But anyway, what else was there? That was the last match of the night.
That was it for Saturday night.
So, it kind of really sucked.
Yeah, you really did not hear the crowd go, this is awesome at all during that night. It was, to me, kind of boring.
Yeah, it especially I was expecting a lot more out of Uso versus Uso.
Yeah.
But on another note, speaking of that night, I don't think now, we're going to get to night 2, but before we do, people, you're going to have to get used to being called crybabies, because I think Cody Rhodes is going to hold on to that belt for a while.
Oh,
because Cody broke a record. Okay. He sold over $1 million in merchandise over WrestleMania weekend.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, he broke more than just that. I mean, he was the only one that won the Royal Rumble in 2023 and 2024. He was the only one that main evented 2 WrestleManias in a row.
Yeah. Well, this thing's they sent out WWE sent out an internal memo which stated that Cody Rhodes sold over $1 million in merchandise throughout WrestleMania weekend. The memo noted that this broke Rhodes' own record from last year.
Wow.
So yeah, he's making money.
Especially for WWE.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
So night 2.
Okay, first match. World Heavyweight Championship match between Drew McIntyre and Seth freaking Rollins.
Yeah. That one. That one.
Was the shortest championship reign ever. 5 minutes and 5 minutes and 43 seconds?
Yeah, that was a hell of a match to begin with.
Yes.
Considering that Seth went through what he went through the night before.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he had to be the first show on Sunday. And I think that was scripted because now the news out there and the rumor mills are going wild, but the official news is we won't see Seth for a while. He's out getting much needed surgery.
And rest. And rehabilitation.
Right. But I did call it.
Yes.
I did call it. I said that if Damian Priest was smart, I said this before, and then I said it when they walked away with no titles, no tag team titles after the first night. I said if he was smart,
he'd come out
on Seth and Drew McIntyre, and he did.
Yep.
And he was smart about it, and yeah, it was in a way it kind of serves McIntyre right for being so
conceited.
Yeah, that's a good word. and he was always more focused on, he was talking about, Seth better focus on me and all of this because he's got me coming up and not the bloodline and all this other bullshit. And yet he wears those shirts during this time and he's more focused on CM Punk.
Yeah.
And guess what? Being focused on CM Punk cost you the title, buddy. 5 minutes and 40 some odd seconds. One of the shortest title reigns ever.
Yeah, and the thing is,
at least Finn Balor got it for 24 hours before he had to give it up.
But he had to give it up. He didn't lose it. He had to give it
up.
But
I'm just saying, as far as short title reigns goes, he had it for 24 hours because he had a forfeit title because he was injured. That was the Universal title, though.
Yep. So that was the first 2 kind of matches because the second one wasn't really a match. He basically, by the time he got down there, hit him with the briefcase and cashed it in. He just had to put him in the ring and cover him.
Yeah, if he was smart, Drew McIntyre should have hightailed it out instead of being focused on CM Punk, who was sitting
there and basically threatening him.
Yeah, he was sitting there, so he didn't even see Damian Priest coming until it was too late.
Well, the thing is, he wasn't even up. CM Punk had already had him on the floor.
Yeah.
Because he had attacked him with his brace that he had on his arm.
It serves him right for it's his own damn fault. He's got nobody to blame, but he's going to blame CM Punk.
Okay. So we got that match covered. Now we have the 6-man tag team Philadelphia street fight between Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus Final Testament. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the match that had the special referee of Bubba in
Bubba
it.
Ray.
Yep.
Yeah. And Bobby Lashley. Who won that? Bobby Lashley and Company, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Bobby
Yeah.
Lashley and the Street Profits won that one.
Yeah. Because they pissed off, the other side pissed off Bubba Ray.
Bubba Ray. And he basically made sure that they won.
So, I mean, that was kind of some retribution for them, but that feud's probably not over yet
Probably not.
between those two fractions. I mean, Karrion Kross is not one to let things go too easy, you know. So you can bet that it somewhere there's going to be some backlash of what happened, and he's going to take it out on you know, Bobby Lashley and Company.
Yeah. Okay, so then the match after that was LA Knight versus AJ Styles.
That was a hell of a fight.
Oh, yes, it was.
That was a hell of a match, you know. And I can't remember who walked away a winner. My memories.
LA Knight.
Yeah, but it was still a hell of a match. I mean, that's
they
one where the
took each
crowd
other
said,
to-
"Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah, they took each other to the limit.
Night 2 was definitely a lot better than night 1. And then didn't you have the triple threat match for
Yep, Logan Paul versus Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And if they would have just kept on going after Logan Paul and making sure he was down and knocked out.
It was their own mistake. I said it right from the start before that match happened. I said it when it was made, you know, when they booked that match. I said all Kevin and Randy's got to do is beat the shit out of him so bad that he can't enter back into the ring or that he gets carried out on a stretcher and then fight each other.
Yeah.
No, we're just going to knock him down a few times and you know, double team him. And then all of a sudden I'm going to turn on you. And yeah, that right then when they started to turn on each other there, and yeah, that's where the match went awry because it gave him enough time to recuperate. And I told you, I knew it. I told you, every time you see those little mascots like that, when Logan Paul's out there and there's a mascot on the outside of the ring dressed in a costume, that SOB is going to be helping Logan Paul. And sure enough, it happened. You know, I mean, if they were smart, they would have like done something to get that referee to throw the little dude out. And nope. And guess what? The brass knucks come into play because the guy gives them to Logan Paul while he's outside the ring. And he uses, yeah. I mean, it seems like he can't win without help. That's just it. And if Randy Orton and Kevin Owens were smart, one of them would have walked out of there with a belt.
Yeah.
You know? But they had to let their egos get the best of them. You know.
So then after that match, we have the WWE Women's Championship match between Bayley and Io Sky.
Yeah, that that was a match too. I was real shocked that Bailey walked out with the belt. You know,
I'm not. I mean, she was really, really hungry for it, and she got revenge.
I'm just saying, I'm just surprised that the numbers game didn't come into play enough to cost her the title or to cost a disqualification. You know, I mean, it was a great match. Bailey deserved it. You know, she got some retribution for being stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, now she's got mending a lot of bridges, but now she's also got a big target on her back too.
Yeah.
You know, and there's somebody there that, you know, we can guarantee, or I could say it's a prediction. Jade Cardell will have a title before the end of the year. It may not be Bailey's title. It could be the other one. But I bet it was in her contract to sign with WWE.
I think she should go after Rhea Ripley.
Well, that would be a better match, by all means.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bailey, she
are
wouldn't even break a sweat with Bailey.
her and Rhea Ripley would be a hell of a match to see. You know, and because they are pretty evenly matched.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the last match that we have left is the undisputed WWE Universal Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns.
I was quite shocked that it took so long. We all knew it was going to be bloodline rules, all right, because of what happened on Saturday. But, you know, we kind of predicted that's the way it was going to be. I'm surprised that it stayed one-on-one for as long as it did.
And that he didn't actually use the bloodline rules to his advantage either.
Well, they did, you know, because they were using weapons and so on and so forth after a while. But, I mean, I'm surprised it stayed pretty much a fair fight for quite a while.
Yeah.
Before they started breaking into the bloodline rules, you know. I mean, Cody could have done it too. But the other thing that surprised me, and I was reading this, and people should realize, you know, they're still trying to work, kind of wash the stink of Vince McMahon off the company, I guess. So they haven't got all those relationships right, but the rumor mill kind of went nuts. When Seth Rollins showed up during that match, he showed up in his old Shield gear, coming in the old school Shield way.
Yep.
The old school Shield music. People were also expecting to see Dean Ambrose. However, Dean Ambrose probably would have showed up, but nobody contacted AEW and Tony Khan over there to even, you know,
consider it.
To even have it considered, you know, just for the one night. Now that would have really blown the roof off the place by itself, just for the one night.
That would have been awesome.
And that would have been a hell of a way for Seth to go out.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
because we probably won't be seeing Seth for a while. I mean, after that, I mean, that was a good way to go out, you know, the old school Shield way, and Roman losing the belt. All right. Kind of putting that nail in Roman's coffin after stabbing him in the back as a Shield, you know, throwing it back in his face again. But he probably went in right away. You
Yeah.
know, if anything, we might see him for an update or a little speech, but we won't see him wrestling for a while.
And that's one reason why they probably had his other match at the beginning of the night so that he could rest up enough, because you knew that was going to be a gruesome match.
Yeah. And people were also expecting to see Steve Austin, but instead we got Taker, which was cooler than hell because WrestleMania isn't WrestleMania without the Taker, you know,
Yes,
people were saying. So, I mean, for him to show up and make an appearance in some form or another is cool, but for that match, that was even cooler. I mean, Cody had some help I don't think he was expecting.
he probably wasn't expecting John Cena to come out either.
No, no. I wasn't expecting Cena to come out to help him like that either. So, I mean, that turned out to be a hell of a match. The one thing, though, that I was a little disappointed because it would have been the perfect opportunity, and both days kind of pissed me off, was I would have thought that having that Samoan dynasty in so many, well, in the two main events, plus the Rock inducting his grandma, and then Roman inducting Paul Heyman, you know, who has major ties to that Samoan dynasty. I would have thought that we would have seen more of them like ringside sitting in seats watching the matches. You know, Rikishi, Fatu, you know, all of these guys, you know, no, didn't see them as much as we should have, I think. You know, I mean, he also had brother versus brother. I mean, there was so many events tied around and tied into that Samoan dynasty this weekend. You would have thought a lot more of them would have been present. All right. And then during that match, what was his name? I had it here recently. Well, I think his name's Jacob Fatu. I would, you know, he's signed a contract with WWE already. I would have thought he would have showed up.
Yeah, isn't he in NXT?
Line rules. So no, he was last I heard. Remember, we was in that at the Performance Center in Florida.
Oh, FCW. Yeah. Okay.
And Booker T, the rumor was Booker T was getting him ready to kind of like make the wild
Samoans again.
You know, using Jacob and Solo.
Yeah.
And they would be one hell of a devastating tag team like the Wild Samoans were. You know, you put those two together in a tag team match, and they're going to destroy the competition pretty quickly. I've seen little videos during my, you know, because they show videos and stuff in some of these articles of Jacob's wrestling abilities.
Okay.
And between Jacob and Solo, both of them remind me a lot of the Wild Samoans. And yeah, it's a good idea. And I would have thought they would have moved on it for WrestleMania 40.
So at the end of the night, Cody got to finish his story.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
you know. But then there was that one thing where after it was all over, the final boss, aka The Rock, comes out and talks to Cody. Was that Monday Night Raw, right?
I think, yeah, Monday Night Raw.
And he then said he had a gift for him. He reached into a pocket, pulled out an unknown item, gave it to Cody, and Cody knew what it was without looking at it, placed it in his pocket, and he told Cody never to break his heart again, and ended his time in the ring with the message, if you smell what the final boss is cooking. Okay. Now, that whole thing was kind of cool to watch. You know,
Yeah.
It also gives me a little bit, understanding. I got a theory that when he whispered into Cody's ear that one day, and then the announcer or the interviewer at backstage asked Rock, "Go ask Cody," and Cody's like, kind of beat around the answer and without really giving an answer. I got a feeling what The Rock said to him is, "You're going to finish your story."
But also, didn't Rock also tell him that he was coming for him? In the same sentence? Basically telling him he was coming after that belt. After, of course, trying the belt on.
Yeah, they switched belts. I thought that was kind of cool too. It was like they were having a moment, and it was a really cool moment that you couldn't take your eyes off of.
Yeah.
And then The Rock's like, "I got to leave for a while, but I'm coming back for you, whether you got the title or not."
Yep.
And basically that means, I'm thinking The Rock respects him enough or respects him that much more now than he used to, saying, "All right, man, I want to work with you in a one-on-one match. Let's see if we can blow the roof off the place." I mean, basically, they're all friends and get along behind the curtains.
Yeah, and they ended Sunday night. They ended it like a great big party in the ring. I mean,
Yeah.
you saw all those people in there. And he also called down Bruce Pritchard and Triple H down to the ring.
Yeah, I still think
to enjoy his win.
Yeah, I still think that was cool as hell because you get to see some of these people. I mean, for those that don't know, Bruce Pritchard has been around wrestling in the WWE and the WWF, and he was basically the Undertaker's first kind of manager, as Bruce Pritchard played Brother Love. That was Bruce Pritchard.
That was before Paul Bearer?
That was before Paul Bearer.
Okay.
And that guy has been a big part. He probably helped Cody, because Cody, I mean, somebody says, "Oh, maybe they should divide the Universal title." Well, it's already been divided. They kept the one named it Universal title and gave Seth the other one. That's how it happened.
And the other one is the heavyweight title.
Oh, he should split these and defend the one as Stardust. But see, there's a problem with that. Stardust is, in Cody's eyes, not part of something he wants to remember. So part of his contract when he came back to WWE from AEW is, you don't mention Stardust, you don't call me Stardust, and that topic does not even come up. He wants nothing to do with that Stardust character.
That almost be kind of like his brother in Gold Dust.
I got a feeling he'd do that too. But
Yeah,
see,
because that is not an era I want to
Dustin,
remember.
from my understanding, Dustin created Gold Dust.
Oh,
The powers to be, the creative powers to be, created Stardust because
because of Gold
Gold Dust
Dust.
was already there. So
And
that
it
was
just seemed
not
right.
right. That was not Cody's cup of tea. So he basically made sure that that was in his contract, that I'm never doing this again and you can't make me, you know. And
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I didn't like the Stardust character either that much, you know. And and from what I've read though, they're gonna keep, I think he's gonna keep that belt for a while. I don't think he's gonna lose it real quickly. However, Damian Priest might.
Well, yeah, because they already had a, what was it, a 4-man or 6-man tag team or
It was a
match,
fatal four-way
fatal
match,
4-way to find out the number one contender for his title on
and
Monday Night Raw.
the winner was
Big Bad Bronson Reed.
it was Bronson Reed, um, Drew McIntyre, Ricochet. That's three. Who is the fourth one?
Oh my god.
Oh, Ivar. Ivar.
Yeah. Yeah. And it came down to where it was Ivar and Bronson Reed, and Bronson Reed beat Ivar.
So it was a fatal four-way, yeah, because Ricochet and yeah, it was a good match. But the only thing is, right now, you know, the Judgment Day is making them money. So numbers game is going to play in Damian Priest's corner.
Yeah.
However, I think Damian Priest having this belt may cause some jealousy between him and Finn Balor. So it could be the start of that faction kind of breaking up, possibly.
I don't know because Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Dominic went after. Actually, Finn Balor was going after Awesome Truth to try and get a belt match for their belts.
I get that, but
Remember what
yeah, I
Arthur
know,
said?
I get that, but here's the thing: jealousy is that green-eyed monster that can stay hidden for a while. Yeah, he may want to go after the tag team titles, but in reality, he wants that belt that Priest is holding. You know, I mean, he even wants he actually more so, he wants the belt that Cody's holding, because that's the belt he only had. That's the one he had at forfeit, was the
Yeah.
Universal title. He was the first person ever to win that Universal title, and he had a forfeit because he got hurt in that match to the point where he needed surgery like quickly.
And wouldn't be able to defend it within 30 days.
And it was, and I believe he won that belt during a WrestleMania. It was like a premium live event like WrestleMania. And he had to come on Monday Night Raw the next day and forfeit the title because he had to go in and have immediate surgery. So that means he held that title, unlike Drew McIntyre, he held the title for 24 hours. You know, I got to rib it because I liked Drew McIntyre at the beginning, you know, but when he decided to turn heel and go after, he kind of tried to do what Sheamus did. Went after all these little guys and picking on them and being a bully. And basically, you know, Drew McIntyre, when he turned heel, he turned into a bully. You know, there's turning into a heel the right way, and then there's just outright becoming a bully because you can, and
Yeah.
you're bigger than them smaller guys.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's just my opinion. I mean, I can't say that's, you know, we know that these are all characters. So, you know, we can't say what he's like really in person. You know, hopefully he's a much better person in real life than he is as a character, his character is right now. You know,
Yeah.
I just liked him better, you know, as a baby face than a heel. You
I
know,
think he's one person that should always be a baby face. I don't think he could ever pull a heel off right.
yeah, he just gets too hated. You just want to hate
Yeah.
him too much. And, you know, but I'm interested to see because the whole night, the whole 2 nights, you know, and first night, if you notice, the first night it comes out, it's Triple H welcoming
Yep.
everybody. The
The
second night,
game.
it was Stephanie, you know, welcoming everybody. The night two. Oh, and I gotta say this too before I forget. Samantha. Oh my
Oh
God.
wow.
She did such a great job announcing these people that even it even got Michael Buffer's notice. You know, right? Is that what I said that right?
Who?
Hold on.
The guy, the Royal Rumble voice.
Well, he wasn't just a Royal Rumble voice. He used to do the WrestleMania main events too back in the day. But it's like, are you ready? Michael Buffer. Yeah, that's his name.
Okay.
Uh, he went to Twitter right after WrestleMania just praising the hell out of Samantha. Her voice, her demeanor, her reactions, uh, her emotion that she put into it. You know,
Well, especially with Cody. I mean, look at he had to have her say it again
yeah, yeah,
because of how good it
that
was.
was even pointed out in that little tweet. You know, and oh my God, Ricochet's got to be pretty proud of that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I can see. I think she deserved a raise after that, and
And they better have a really good insurance on her voice.
yeah, they might want to do that if they're going to have her continue to do this stuff because yeah, she really
Those
did
hurts
do
can
a
get
great job.
stressed out pretty easily.
Well, you got to realize that what's his Buffer, if I can find him quick. I think he's up there a bit. You know, I mean, he does boxing. You know, he's done boxing, wrestling, National Football League events, just about everything. And the thing is, he was born in Philadelphia, where WrestleMania was.
Yep.
And let's see.
And the other thing is, you got to remember, what was it, like not even 2 days before WrestleMania actually started, they had an what was it, an earthquake there?
Yeah, it's an Epic Center was New Jersey, not too far away.
Yeah, but they could still feel the tremors on it Thursday night when we were on the podcast. They could still feel the tremors from that earthquake that happened in New Jersey.
So right now, Michael Buffer is 79 years old. He'll be 80 on November 2nd.
Wow.
So I'm sure he's getting to the point where he's not going to do a lot of them, a lot of these things. And he probably gets paid a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know? And that's his catchphrase. Let's get ready to rumble. But I think the first time he said that was probably at like a Muhammad Ali event or something. A boxing, like a boxing event. He began to use the phrase, let's get ready to rumble in 1984.
At the Royal Rumble, wasn't it?
He acquired a federal trademark for the phrase. Buffer uses famous phrase in various licensing deals, including. Yeah, it was basically it started out with boxing.
Oh.
But he's done it for the Royal Rumble and stuff like that as well. But I'm just saying. Yeah. And here's that article now. Samantha Irving receives heaps of praise from Michael Buffer. Oh, shit. So she really got a lot more attention than I think she was expecting.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I didn't pay attention to, and I know you didn't because we missed it, I think they said it was Saturday morning, but I could give a shit. I mean, when they did it, it was kind of stupid in the first place. And this year, they bring back the Slammies, but they don't really tell you or advertise it much or bring it out too quickly to let you know where you could vote, because the Slammies are awards that are given to wrestlers for all kinds of different things. But the fans are allowed to vote, and I don't think there was enough time. I think they just did that way too quickly.
Oh, the one match we didn't talk about was the Andre the Giant
The Battle Royal.
Battle Royal.
Yeah. Who won that?
Bronson Reed.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's got a lot of momentum right now.
Yeah.
And I think that proves to the world that, last few times we saw Bronson Reed in a Royal Rumble,
he was getting out. He was getting thrown out pretty quickly.
And thrown out pretty quickly. And I think somewhere along the line he learned, and boy did he learn, because he really overcame a lot when they did try numbers game on him. And he used his power to advantage, and he made sure he didn't make any mistakes this time.
And actually, I think that's the match that I was actually remembering, was where him and Ivar were the last two. And he got Ivar over the top rope.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty impressive. He did the right thing by throwing people out right away.
Yes.
And not wasting time. So there was less that could try to take him over the top. I mean, he's a big guy. That's dead weight. That's like Ivar. He's dead weight. But he used Ivar's momentum against him to get him over. And that paid off. So I think Bronson Reed's learned a lot about those Royal over-the-top
Royal Rumbles or Battle Royals or stuff like that.
And I think that's gonna, that momentum that he gets from winning those two matches, that one and the one in that Fatal 4-Way he won, that makes number one contender. I think he's got a pretty good shot, but numbers game are still in Damian Priest's favor when that goes down.
Yep.
Now, Damian Priest was smart because the numbers game could cost him too, because if he was smart, he'd just go one-on-one against Bronson Reed. Because he's such a big guy, he could still power out of it. I mean, you imagine if he had the strength. I mean, he doesn't. I don't think anybody in wrestling anymore has got quite the strength or the matching strength of Andre the Giant, because of Andre's condition. Because Paul White's no longer part of wrestling either right now, or at least WWE, that is, the Big Show. They booked him as Andre's son, but he's no relation to Andre. The only thing they had in common was the same condition, but Paul White's is controlled somehow. But he still has to watch and be careful of not hurting people like Andre did. When Hogan did the body slam that was heard around the world, when he was the first person to ever body slam Andre the Giant. The only way that happened was that Andre let him.
Yeah.
Andre was too big and strong. He had to be careful that if he hit you, he could have broken a rib. If he smacked you right in your chest, he could have easily broken your ribs. I mean, this guy had the strength. I mean, yeah, it was a small little car in France, not a very big car, but yet he held that sucker up in the rain so the dude could change the tire.
Yeah. Oh,
that's like pure strength.
The last person that was in the Fatal 4-Way was Jey Uso.
Oh.
And actually, I think he's the one that won it.
Well, let's look it up quick. That was Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking. Okay, Shinsuke. Yeah. Yep, Jey Uso is the one that won it. Jey Uso defeated Drew McIntyre, Ricochet, and Bronson Reed in a Fatal 4-Way match to become #1 contender. So Jey Uso is on his way towards Damian Priest.
No, that could change things a whole lot different now. That didn't give me everything, but
that just means he was hungrier than Drew McIntyre was for #1 contender spot.
Well, the thing is, if that could mean, we could see. The thing is, the bloodline's no longer going to be real soon, or Roman's going to be gone for a while.
Yeah, we can guarantee that.
He's either going to go and recuperate for a while and reinvent himself or something and come back, and Paul Heyman's going to keep the bloodline going, and you could see possibly Jimmy and Jay again, or you could possibly see the bloodline coming to his rescue during the fight for the belt. So then it could end up this way. The bloodline helps Jay get the belt. Okay. Jay takes the belt from
Jimmy
Priest. Okay. Here's the thing though. Now we got a WrestleMania rematch, but this time it's twin versus twin for the belt.
Ooh, that could be that. That could be the one to watch if it happens.
And if that's the case, that match better outshine the WrestleMania
Oh,
match
yeah.
by a lot.
Better.
Otherwise,
Come up with new moves.
the Triple H era is sucky.
Hall of
If
Fact.
the storyline goes that way, I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah.
But I could see that possibility because Bloodline has got a beef with the Judgment Day, and Judgment Day's got a beef with the Bloodline.
Yeah.
And now you got a former member of the Bloodline as number one contender. Think about it. And we'll leave it at that note. So until next week, have a good night. Stay safe.
Bye.
Anything's possible, even in wrestling. Had